Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Vanessa Kelly, founder of Function Pilates, and today is your quick tips. And I'm gonna go over 5 exercises I would recommend if you sit behind the desk all day, which I think a lot of us do. If your client is known to sit behind the desk, or honestly just like sit for a really long period of time, that sort of thing. And we're gonna go through 5 of what I feel is focused on stretching out through the hips. We're gonna focus on some core connection and also getting that low back stretch. So the first exercise I wanna go over is a single leg footwork exercise with a figure 4 variation. So let's get down to 2 medium springs here. So I'm gonna be using 2 red springs on balanced body, headrest is halfway up, and then you can go ahead and lie yourself down. So again, you would want to definitely integrate your regular footwork series, but when we talk about some of these additional 5 exercises, these are the exercises I would make sure they were implemented into the program for this specific individual. So we want to line up our heels on top of the foot bar in that parallel hip distance apart position. And then what I would like to do is just push out to 2 straight legs. So it's 2 medium springs. It's gonna feel pretty light right now if you are working with double leg, but we're gonna be working with single leg. So let's take our right ankle over our left knee in that figure 4. And now your client is the one in charge here. So as they start to bend into their left knee, they're gonna naturally feel that piriformis in their glutes starting to stretch here. All at the same time, they're gonna be working through that left leg, activating all the same muscle focus. So we still wanna be focusing on the quads and the hamstrings here as we work, but they're just getting this added bonus for themselves from being tight and sitting for an extended period of time all day. So when you're advising them and cueing them, think about the right knee reaching away from your right shoulder to really open up through that hip socket. That's gonna be important, using the right type of verbiage for them to understand. You might have clients that are right when they're in this position, it's like, okay, that is enough, I already feel it. They maybe don't need to intentionally pull that knee away from them, but you'll be able to tell by their facial reactions or the ones that are more verbal. But yes, this is so good. And I would say about 10 repetitions, 10 to 12 repetitions on each leg. And then you would even want to take it down to the toes. So let's head into that variation really quickly. So you're on both of your, a ball of your feet on, press out to, again, 2 straight legs. We'll go ahead and take that right ankle over the left knee. So same side. And then you would go ahead and continue with it. So by this time, if you are taking turns with each legs, I wouldn't say to consecutively go into this variation after you've done your left heel on the foot bar, but I would definitely change sides. So by the time you come back to this variation, they should feel pretty warm. So their actual range of motion might get a little closer to that stopper, right? So those are the things to pay attention to as a client, or if this is something you're doing at home, how close you feel like you're getting towards that stopper to really understand how much of your hips and your piriformis are actually stretching. So that is such a good one. Definitely want to integrate that into each of those desk workers' full body workout. So then I would honestly, before you come in all the way and ask them to take their foot away, I would push back out to a straight leg and then take both feet back onto that foot bar and then bring them back in again. Okay, so second exercise, we're gonna do a variation of a bridge. So let's take our headrest down all the way flat. And I'm already still on the 2 medium springs, so we can stay here. And then let's go ahead and take our heels up on top of that foot bar. And we're gonna begin to bridge ourselves all the way up to the top here, okay? Now, with this position, You can even add on an additional spring. If you wanted to have 2 medium springs and a light spring to help keep the carriage into the stopper, that's okay. But once we're here, let's take that right ankle above the left knee again. And I want you to almost like teeter-totter over to the right-hand side. So you're dropping your right hip towards the floor, and then you're returning it to square your hips back to the ceiling. So again, you're gonna drop your right hip, your right knee towards the floor, then naturally you're going to shine it back up towards the ceiling. And again, I'm doing consecutive ones here. You know your body, you know your client, so you can pick and choose what works best for them. But if we can aim for about 2 to 3, I would say at the beginning, and then dropping that heel back down and then going to the other side, I would definitely recommend it. So let's try that. Let's try the other side here. So let's lift ourselves back up into a bridge. Let's take our left ankle over the right knee. And then again, you're gonna dip your left hip, left knee towards the floor, coming back through center. You're gonna notice that one side's gonna feel a lot easier than the other side. So those are really great things to keep track of, and ask your client, ask yourself, which side does feel a little bit easier? Because again, for me, this side feels easier because I'm right side dominant. So I overly activate my right side, so it's stronger. My left side's weaker. So I'm able to hold my bridge position here a lot longer than I was on my left side. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop that down and then bring ourselves all the way back. So carefully sit yourself up. And then on this next exercise, it's gonna be more abdominal focused, okay? Because we do wanna have a lot of that core connection, core engagement as we are working with our client. So I'm gonna reduce the spring tension down to a 1 medium spring, so 1 red. And then we're gonna lie ourselves back down, headrest can come up again. And this is such a good one. One of my favorite ab exercises to teach. So I'm gonna have, this is another bonus. So we can have your hands grab a hold of the pegs here. So naturally you're gonna feel the chest open up and the collarbone getting wider. So think of your elbows reaching to opposite directions of the room. And if they're kind of hovering up here, how can we naturally let go and release? And you're gonna see the difference. You're gonna feel the difference here, okay? So with that being said, I'm gonna have you take one foot underneath the foot bar, and then you're gonna take the other foot under the foot bar. Now this is a very challenging exercise, okay? So less is more. We're gonna carefully think about, so if you're arching your back like this, push your low back into the mat as far as you can get it here, okay? Then you're gonna start to push yourself away from the foot bar, and then you're going to drag yourself back in again. Lots of abdominals here, okay? So the further you go out, the more challenging it's gonna be to return yourself home again, okay? And that's where you're gonna feel the work. The work is on the way in, okay? So even if you wanna think about placing your hand on top of your belly here, and as you naturally pull yourself in, pull your belly button away from your hand and see how much more that engages through your pelvic floor, through all of the different stabilizing muscles in the abs and in the low back here. So that's activating all 4 components of the core, as we like to say it. Okay, and then you can go ahead and bring it back up again. So really intense. It's so good though. And you don't really need a ton of repetitions on that one. So I would say maybe about 8 to 10, depending on your client and how much they can take it. That's an exercise where you want to go slow and intentional. So you don't want to rush through it very fast. You want to, again, go very slow with controlled movements. So you're not rushing through it because there's so many benefits with that exercise. Okay, let's go to the 4th exercise. This, I'm gonna remain here on a medium spring, which is our red spring. I'm gonna grab a hold of the box here, and I'm gonna do a combination. So we're gonna do a mermaid, which is gonna be our side stretch, with a bonus piriformis stretch here, okay? So the box is gonna go ahead and come to the very edge of the carriage, all right? And then I'm gonna go ahead and take my left leg up, just like so. And I'm basically in a zigzag position with my legs here. But for those that have really tight hips and piriformis, glutes, all sorts of things, they're gonna feel this just by sitting here, okay? So you're gonna feel that. And with this right side, with my right knee just resting on the carriage, they may even feel a nice deep quad stretch. So it really depends on the individual, but those are the main components that you're going to be addressing or feeling, cueing, depending on where you are watching this from, as an instructor perspective or a client perspective. So let's go ahead and take our left hand on top of the bar, and then you're going to, again, slowly just push yourself away. So you're doing all those natural tendencies that we like to do in Mermaid. So you're gonna feel that hip flexor, the psoas, even getting a little bit of a stretch right into those obliques. And then we're gonna go ahead and return ourselves back up again. So if you think about a desk worker sitting all day, there's no rotation, there's no lateral flexion. They're just basically sitting in one place the entire day. So we wanna add more movement into their spine and really open up through those muscles that get super stiff. So again, let's try this another 2 more times. Think of the ribs shining up towards the ceiling and then getting up nice and tall. Last one. Let's lift up, and you take your time there, and then you can go ahead and sit back up again. So I would say definitely anywhere from 3 to 6 repetitions on that. But again, very intentional, very slow with that process, not rushing through it. And then you would obviously switch and do the other side. So our last exercise for today is gonna be called frame pull. And I really love this exercise. I'm gonna actually perform this on a super extra light spring. So in balanced body, that's gonna be our yellow spring. So I'm gonna add that on, remove my medium, and I'm just gonna keep the foot bar where it's at. It's not actually in the way. And then we're going to look to the back of our reformer lying on our stomach here, okay? So once we're in this position, we're gonna go ahead and grab a hold of the wooden frame of the reformer, or wherever is comfortable for you, depending on what type of model you have. And so my thumbs are on top, my fingertips are just floating here. That's really important because I don't want you to feel like you need to grip this. This is all about mobilizing through the shoulder blades and to achieve a deeper low back stretch. So my feet are separated, my thighs are engaged off the box. And then from this position, I'm just gonna naturally glide forward, lifting my chest and really dropping my shoulder blades down. I have the ability to do that because I'm on such a light spring. That's why it's so important to be on that extra light spring. If you were on a heavier spring, this would be very difficult to do. You would feel a lot more of that activation in the strengthening aspect of your back, but I really want the mobilization of the back here, okay? So from this position, again, we're going to lift the chest, drop the shoulders, feel the shoulder blades running down your back pockets here. You're gonna even feel a stretch there in your low back and through your lumbar spine. Totally normal, I want that. And then you're gonna go ahead and lower it back down again, okay? So let's try that about 2 more times. We're going to inhale, already feel the shoulder blades running down your back pockets, lifting. We're not looking up. Again, we're keeping our neck in line with the rest of our body. And then we're gonna lower back down, eyesight to the ground. Last time here, taking that inhale to lift, mobilizing through the shoulder blades, and slowly starting to use your exhalation, lower it back down again. So if you're the instructor with your client, it's really nice for you to have your hands on their shoulder blades to help navigate where their shoulder blades are moving so they can feel that. And then you can even notice too, if one shoulder blade is actually moving more than the opposite one, because then that also gives you an idea of what do I need to stretch more on this individual? Where do I need to loosen up a lot more of that mobility? It's really, it's really something to get your eye on so that you get better and more confident at identifying a lot of those things. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Let me know which one of these 5 exercises like you actually prefer the most, even if you did it on your own self and your body, or if you did this with a client, what did they say to you? Like, did they like it? And how did that feel as you noticed that you were starting to incorporate this more into their workout? So I will see you next week for another 5 quick tips.